It's 5:30. We will call the January 25th meeting of the Stillwater Planning Commission to order. The process this evening will be to call the items on the agenda. The commission will hear briefly from staff first, then applicant and or their representative, and then we'll open the public hearing to hear from those in favor and or in opposition to the request. When you come to the podium, please clearly state your name and address for the record. And before closing the public hearing, both staff, applicant, and or the representative will be provided an opportunity to respond and provide any additional information and answer questions that may have come up in that discourse. After all interested parties have spoken, the public hearing will be closed, and we will hear closing remarks and alternatives from staff. Moving to the first item on the agenda, which is public hearings, and we only have one this evening, and it would be specific use permit 21-26.
All right, good evening, Planning Commissioners. Brady Moore, Chief Innovation Officer from the City Manager's Office. Yes, the case before you tonight is for a specific use permit at 115 South Main Street. This is SUP 21-26. This area map, there we go, it's now pulled up, shows the hatch pattern location site. It sits along Main Street on the east side of Main between Elm and Maple. This area map that highlights the location for this SUP with the red box. And as you know, right there just to the north of this building is M&K Lighting and Shepherd's. This next picture is a street view of the location of the subject site, and as it shows, I just want to point out that it does show adequate parking for commercial for this use. As we look at a zoning map, the zoning for this property is CG, commercial general. Our land development code requires us to look at zoning and allow, or CG does allow the use of marijuana medical dispensary in CG zoning with a specific use permit. We also typically take a look at the future land use map just to make sure that in this area the current zoning matches future zoning, and as we see here in our future land use map, the red highlights commercial, which is the use that we see at this subject site. And with that, the applicant is here, Corbin Wyatt. And but before we open the public hearing, do you have any questions of staff?
Do the commissioners have any questions for staff?
Okay.
We haven't seen any. Okay. At this time, I'd like to offer the applicant an opportunity to come and speak to the commission if you'd like.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, I'm honored to be here tonight. Thank you for having me. We are requesting your permission to place our cannabis.
Can you say your name and address?
Oh, yeah. My name is Corbin Wyatt, 6704 Elk Canyon Road in Oklahoma City. Yeah.
Thank you.
So we have an existing business there. The ownership has changed with the passing of the previous owner. The business has been operational since 2019. We're essentially requesting permission for the certificate of compliance to send to the OMMA to reflect a new entity name, and that is it.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions of the applicant?
So the business will be essentially the same as it was before?
The business will be exactly the same, if not better.
Any other questions? I don't see any. Thank you so much. At this time, I'll ask if there's anyone here with us this evening that would like to speak in favor of this item. Seeing none, I'll ask if there's anyone present this evening that would like to speak in opposition of this item. Seeing none, I'll ask staff to present alternatives.
So the alternatives are, you can accept the findings and recommend to the city council approval for the proposed specific use permit as it's presented. You can accept the findings and recommend the city council approve the proposed specific use with conditions, noting what the conditions are being recommended. You can also find that the specific use permit is not appropriate use for the property based upon the impacts of the surrounding vicinity and do not recommend it to city council to approve. And then lastly, you can find that additional information or discussion is needed prior to making a recommendation and table the request to a date certain.
Are there any questions? Staff? All right, thank you. I do have one question, and I'm going to pose it to our special counsel and ask, so this was operating as a marijuana dispensary that had an SUP in place, and now we do a new one because there's a different owner. Is there a process to close the other SUP, or what's the process with that?
Close it for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm aware. This one has a new SUP. It's a new one, so.
It's a new one.
Has a new
Yeah.
SUP application, and we will close out.
They'll close out the other one
Automatically.
automatically
Administrative.
with the address. It'll be an administrative item. Okay.
Yes.
Just
Thank
kind
you.
of an administrative question of process. I just wasn't sure how that would be handled. Okay,
Yes.
very good. Okay. Commissioners, is there any discussion, or if anyone's entertaining a motion perhaps?
Without further discussion, I move that we accept the findings as presented to the commission for approval. Excuse me.
Okay, we have a motion to accept findings and recommend the city council approve the proposed specific use permit as presented. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We will now vote. Okay, that item passes 5-0. And that concludes the public hearings we have this evening. The next item on the agenda is the meeting summary for review and possible action, and that would be the summary of the regular meeting of December 21st of the Stillwater Planning Commission. Are there any corrections to be made or omissions to point out? If not, do I hear any motion to accept?
I move that we accept the minutes.
I have a motion to accept. Do I hear a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to accept the minutes. We shall now vote. We have 4 yes and 1 abstain. The next item on the agenda is miscellaneous items from staff, planning commissioners, or the city attorney for discussion of possible action. Seeing that we don't have any listed. The next planning commission meeting will be February 1st. And with that, do I hear any motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn. Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. We shall now vote. All right, 5 yes. That concludes this meeting of the Stillwater Planning Commission. We are adjourned.